Welcome back, footy fans, to another episode of Donnie's Disposals. I am your host, Coach Donnie Hess here, back with another AFL round review. And really quickly, this is going to be just the tiniest bit different, ladies and gentlemen, because I have the absolute pleasure of sitting down with one of my favorite footy podcasts. This is joining me today as my co-host, as you can kind of see on the screen here. We have the members of the Falcon, a footy podcast. We have Jesse, Chris, and Clarky joining us today. Cannot wait to sit down. I'm going to hop on their podcast. So it's actually going to be their show that we're doing, but I'm going to hop on and sit here and chat with these lovely fellas. Cannot wait. Gentlemen, it is great to see you.
How do I follow that? How do I follow that? I can't do it. That was so smooth and professional.
That was far too professional.
It's good. Well, I think you could just roll straight into it. This is our cold open.
You know what? Fuck it, we will. Welcome to the Falcon, a footy podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Munro. And we have a bit of a special hybrid episode for you today. I'll start with the less special aspects of the episode. Joined by Clarky and Chris. How are we doing?
Yeah, pretty good.
Hear that, Chris? He'll need us back at some point.
I know.
So
I'm setting the mood.
Let him crawl.
I'm disappointed that we didn't get called wonderful or effervescent or magnificent.
No, look, it's winter. I'm worn down. The compliments are gone. You get the bare minimum from me. But somebody who doesn't give the bare minimum, somebody who gives 110% to everything he's doing, is the coach of the Des Moines Roosters, the captain of Donnie's Disposals, the AFL gentleman from across the seas, Donnie Hess, our special guest. That rhymed, kind of. How you doing?
Not doing too bad, fellas. It is great to be on the show. I enjoy you guys' your podcast. It is one of my favorites. As I kind of set off mic to the fellas, is that it is one of my Monday morning staples. I have it on when I get ready for work in the Monday morning because it always comes out right about the time that I get up. So it's fantastic. Cannot wait to sit down and talk footy with three awesome footy-loving fellas.
And don't worry, the money will be in your account for that.
We paid Donnie to say that, but he doesn't realize how bad the Aussie dollar is. Enjoy your $7.
I know it's the one thing that I actually do appreciate about it is when I have to buy something for my Swans or when I do my membership. It's just a little bit less expensive because it transitions from the Aussie dollar to the American dollar. So it's the one of the few times I kind of chuckle a little bit. I'm like, so it's 200 Aussie, so it means it's only about roughly 150 to 155 American. That's a good deal.
I need to find
Sorry guys, I'm not trying to make fun of you at all.
I need to find a country whose sport I like, but they have a worse dollar than us. Like, I know the yen isn't doing great right now. Like, I did go see sumo wrestling when I was there, and it was pretty fun. Maybe I get into sumo wrestling.
I think I did have somebody at my workplace the other day point out that they ordered their YouTube premium subscription through like Hungary or some other European country because it's just like it's $5 a month or something there. So they just pay for their subscription using a VPN and then switch it back to Australia, and it just works out.
We just become one of those life hack channels.
Yeah, we've become Pick and Forward, the forward thing. Now, Donnie, you're a part of you're the host of the amazing Donnie's Disposal, a YouTube channel, a podcast. Chris, Clark, and I were talking about it earlier. You really know your shit when it comes to football. It's incredible. You're from Des Moines, Iowa. Took me so long to realize how to pronounce Des Moines. Let's just let that one go, though. Des Moines.
Des Moines. Just cut the S's off. Des Moines.
Des Moines, okay. Like, an offshoot to that, there's a band I used to like when I was a teenager, and they have a song that says Des Moines in it. And everyone would be like, yeah, Des Moines? And I was like, I don't think that's correct, but I don't know enough to correct you. So,
that's funny.
So, cool. 15 years later, I'm getting it right. But yes, you run an incredible football channel. We've got questions for you.
Sure.
We've got questions for you. How did you find out about AFL football?
It's the story I get all the time as an American supporter. It actually kind of just one of those that my father was a sports lover, and we had our cable package just happened to have a channel at the time called Fox Sports World. And it had Tri-Nation, it had Tri-Nations rugby, it had soccer before soccer kind of started to really explode. We're talking late 90s here. So soccer still hadn't really exploded. And Aussie Rules was one of those on. And my father one time, he's like, Donnie, you got to see this. And so I'm sitting at like 4 a.m. My dad's watching a live footy game. I can't even remember who was playing. And it was just this fascinating sport. It was like this massive field with all these people, and they're dressed in like 1970s basketball uniforms, and they can kick this oddly shaped ball that's a lot like what I'm used to in gridiron football, but it's a little different. And it's pinging around. It's flying down the field, and then I think I even saw Specky in that particular time having absolutely no idea. And it's like a lot of Americans, they're kind of like, oh my God, that's legal. And it's this crazy like introduction to it when I was younger. And unfortunately, the channel went under less than 2 years later. So when I hit high school, kind of got into athletics myself, was a basketball player, played gridiron football, played baseball a little bit. And then in college, ran into one of the Aussie who helped start the Des Moines Roosters, the local USAFL team here in town. And he's like, how'd you like to play? And I was like, absolutely. And played for 3 or 4 years. Unfortunately, had a childhood back injury when playing baseball. So I retired. And then I had always loved coaching. Always been somebody that I love teaching the games that I love. I've been a basketball coach for over 10 years. And I thought, you know what, I'll take the plunge. And I decided to tell the guys asked me if I'd like to coach the team. And in 2019, I hopped on. I've since stepped back a little bit. I'm more of a volunteer coach nowadays, but I'm still involved with the club a lot. And I'm one of the people that have a little more knowledge than some because I've dove into the minutia of the game. As you said, I've had several an Aussie go, dude, you know more about this game than I do, and I live here.
I've never seen a game of waffle.
Well, technically right now I can't because it went to 7 mate, and 7 mate, I need a VPN, and currently right now I've got a few things going on personally, so I'm not at the point where I can do that. So it's more of I check stats. Like I said, I have a couple of friends who help me with my waffle broadcast that I do roughly once a month, and he calls the games. He's constantly there. He runs his own podcast around the waffle, which is absolutely fantastic. If you love waffle footy, it's a great way to watch that. It's so much fun. Like I've met so many great people, like you three here, and so many great Aussies who've embraced me. I know that sometimes I get called a flog. What do you know? You live 12,000 kilometers away. What the heck do you know? Well, I'm like, well, I'm up at 2 a.m. watching my team. Are you in bed when it's 8 o'clock at night? Like, let's check what we're gonna call things here, because again, I'm not an expert. I still, there's tiny parts of the game I'm still learning, but I've taken on this as a fun project of love this game, love this sport. It's so much fun. The skills are insane sometimes, like what these guys can do. I mean, there are players in this league that literally could kick a footy from 50 meters and hit a damn teacup. It's insane what these guys can do.
If it makes you feel any better, I get called a flog all the time, and I live about 45 minutes away from the MCG. So, like,
that's more of a personality thing.
Yeah, I think it is a personality thing with me.
I think, Donnie, you said it on your latest episode of Donnie's Disposals when you mentioned that someone was coming at you about getting Chad Warner into the Swan side, and you were just like, I don't mind having a discussion with people as long as it's, constructive and you're actually adding something and you're having a conversation with someone. I think it's really good that you've gotten to be embraced by that part of the AFL world, because you do not have to be an expert. Chris and I know for a fact, couldn't even decide if Tristan Sherry should get weeks for knocking out Tom Sparrow this week, and we both love each other.
How did I get dragged in as not being an expert? Wow.
Yeah, I like that. I'm like, wait.
There's the drive-by, right?
Yeah, Jesse got included, and I just got dragged into it.
Jesse goes without saying.
I think it's one of those that, I mean, I literally have it on my favorites on my computer screen. I check out afl.com.au at least once or twice a day. I go through, I have to see, like I said, as I was getting ready for this podcast, I pulled it up because I wanted to see, did Tristan Xerri get suspended? I'm still waiting. I'll have to wait till tomorrow for the injury list to come out to find out if Tommy McCartan's going to be out with a concussion. I still haven't 100. Have they 100% confirmed, Jesse, that Nick Martin's, it's an ACL tear?
Yeah, he's yeah.
Okay. So it's little.
Yep, it is.
It's,
It'll be out till next July.
I was not trying to get a shot there. It's just, there are things that I just, when I'm sleeping, I can't tell you how many times I get text messages or instant messages from Instagram or X or any of my socials that I have, where I have friends in Australia that are like, Donnie, you got to see this. And so it's like, there are times like some of my best takes that I get, I get information from friends. I know when Chad Warner was about to get signed, I have a good friend who lives in Sydney and is a massive Swans supporter. And he was hearing rumors a day before. He's like, Donnie, let you know, sounds like Chad Warner's going to re-sign to a 2-year extension. So it was like, so I knew about it before it happened. And I even right around the time that Tom Morris or whoever put it out, one of the first journos to do it. Yeah. Right around the same time, I was getting people who I knew saying, hey, Donnie, he's going to resign. I was like, fantastic.
You know how I can tell that you know your shit about football? Now, audio listeners, you wouldn't have seen this, but when you said Tom Morris as a journalist, you did quotations. So you know your shit. You know what you're talking.
Well, being an AFLW supporter, Tom Morris has a lovely place in many of my friends' thought process on that. So I've had many a discussion. I know off mic, for the people that didn't, a lovely discussion we had about the validity of BT as a caller was something I think they both got a kick out of. My very lovely opinion, and my audience knows I constantly, him and David King sometimes get a lot of my wrath sometimes on the show, because I think they have takes that I'm just like, really?
It's so good that what started off as, what I can only imagine is your dad coming in and waking you up at 4 a.m. to go, Donnie, you got to see this. Something crazy's happening on the TV in the sports world, has now evolved into you as an adult going, yeah, there's a journalist in Australia, hate him, absolute piece of shit. Couldn't care. Put him in the median strip, let him get hit by a bus.
There's a team from Outback Way, and they have a player coming through. It's like nobody else knows about this. I think that's what's so impressive and shows that you like genuinely love this sport in a way that not many people can say they do. You go to effort to find out stuff that like we could access information about. Like we don't speak much about the SN AFL that much, the Waffle, the VFL. We don't really speak about that much because we don't know that much about it. It kind of sucks because it's pretty easily accessible to us. The fact that you go the extra mile and you're taking all this information in, like, that's intense. That's hardcore. I don't think I'm into anything that much. I don't think I have it.
Well, and the other thing too is just the fact that for me sometimes is that when you have the mid-season draft and you have these people that are like, I haven't heard of these guys, and like, I know when the AFLW draft happened, I remember I had a few people who were reaching out to me because they knew I covered the Sample and the Waffle, and the first round draft pick for the Swans was a player I had been watching for 2.5 years almost, and she started playing in the Waffle when she was 15 years old, and absolutely ripper, has won a premiership 2 years ago. And I remember telling Swans fans, I'm like, you have no idea how awesome a player we just got. I said, if you know AFLW and you know Mon Conti, we just got Mon Conti's clone. Like, it is scary how good this girl could be. Fantastic. And she's got one of the best names ever. Her name is Zipperiah Fish. Her nickname, Zippy Fish.
Zippy Fish, yeah.
Zippy Fish. I like I said, I've been watching her since she was 17 years old. And she was absolutely tearing up the Waffle as a 17-year-old. She's 2 years older. They go to the national draft, like literally the year they go to the national. I'm like, oh my God, two of my favorite players that I love that are in the state leagues who are both WA girls are both eligible, and Sydney has a season that they do to where they're got a top 5 draft pick. They have a chance to get one of them. And I thought it was so cool when it happened. But yeah, I had Swans fans who are like, tell me what you know. And I'm like, well, I said, very much like Mon Conti, elusive, great with footy in hand, hard to tackle. One of those. She's so much fun to watch. And then they had that scratch match against Adelaide where she kicks it from the center square and it rolls through.
Also, like behind you, I can see you got the really cool indigenous swan jumper. I love that jumper. Yeah. Why swans?
That was another one. I was trying to decide, and it's interesting. I'm interested to see your guys' reactions. It came down to North Melbourne and Sydney.
You picked right.
I have always been. The teams that I support up here in the States have always had unique nicknames. Maybe it's a little bit because of the fact I live in the state of Iowa, and our 2 college teams have unique nicknames for where we live in the country, because in the Northern Hemisphere, we call them hurricanes, not cyclones. So the fact that the rival of the university that I love, Iowa State, is the Cyclones and ours is the Hawkeyes. So a couple of unique nicknames. I've always been into unique nicknames for my teams. Like I hate going with like again, sorry on this, Bulldogs, like the ones that I hear. Well, no, it's just there's so many Bulldogs up here in the States with collegiate teams. I think it's one of the most popular nicknames of college teams that are up here. There's like 52 colleges that their nickname is the Bulldogs. So I always like unique nicknames. I think it stands out. It's much easier. You don't have to worry about being confused with a different school or a different team. So when I sat down and it was kind of how I eliminated North Melbourne, is because kangaroos are pretty popular in Australia. So for me, Swans Swans was such a unique nickname. It's not something that you hear. It's not like you're used to the Hawks or the Falcons or yeah. So Swans was kind of, and then it was 2 YouTube highlights that kind of solidified it, and that was Nick Davis's 4 goals against Geelong in the elimination final or semifinal in 2005 that propelled them into the run that won them the premiership, and then the Leo Barry mark in that same 2005 grand final that solidified and ended the 72-year drought. Not that you guys needed to be told that. I was fascinated by both of those highlights, and I don't know. There was just something about those highlights that drew me, and I'm like, you want to know what? I'll become a Swans supporter. And
it's cool as well that you said that you nailed it down to you wanted teams with like strange names, and I thought you were going to go like Bloods and Shin Boners, because I was like, oh yeah, like both of those are really weird nicknames, and then you went, yeah, kangaroos are pretty popular and Swans are a bit. And I was like, oh okay, like that's, and you still managed to pick the 2 best.
Yeah, no, it's one of those, but it's like watching that 2005, watching some of the highlights 2005. It was like the style of play that they played. And I know I've heard the comments of, I guess, the person who ran, the CEO of AFL, said the Swans would never win the premiership with their style of play, yada yada. So it was like, but I was just loved the hardworking, gritty, tough, get after it type of footy that they played. And then 2012, the grand final, it was one of the first grand final, one of the grand finals that I super sat down and I enjoyed the footy. I loved what Hawthorn did. I loved what Sydney did. And I fell in love with the style of team that Sydney played with. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I went with it. 2016, I became an international member and have been an international member ever since. The jersey that you're talking about, that got sent to me from New South Wales. I've had several amazing Swan supporters. I know a couple of the hats that are up there behind me are signed. I don't know who signed them, but they got sent to me. Yeah, I know. It is fascinating. I've fallen in love. The Swan supporters that I've met through social media has been absolutely incredible. I just absolutely love them to death. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. But the one thing that having the podcast has also been good about is that I've met supporters from every single club that I've absolutely adore. I have supporters on every single club that I know of that I talk with, that I'll reach out like, hey, how are things going? Like my North supporters that I know, I've reached out to them several times going, do you want a hug? I just want to give them. I've had a few Carlton supporters this year that I've really like. I reached out literally. I was like, if you need a hug or somebody to vent to, let me know. I'm here for you. So it's been fascinating. No, I absolutely love it. It's so much fun. The Aussie community has kind of wrapped their arms around me. I had a few one time even said that, Donnie, you should just be an Australian citizen. Like we should just totally grab you and bring you over here because you're more Aussie than American at this point.
So let's talk about the US AFL. You like you said, you're involved. You player coach, I'd like to say, of the Des Moines Roosters. How does the USA AFL work? US AFL? US AFL?
AFL. Really, it kind of works more of cooperation. Is really kind of how it goes, because the fine details I'm not fully into, because it's a lot like clubs over there. You have your boards, you have your president, all that, and then they pick the coaches, but the schedules, they really aren't set. It's basically more of what are your club priorities on what you want to accomplish and what you want to do, because for the most part, the only things that are set in stone for everybody is there's regionals and then there's nationals. Regionals is usually around this time period between late June, to early August. And in different parts of the country, they will set up hubs. So I'll go off ours. So I'm in the central region, and this year's central regionals was in Kansas, which is just south of us. So it's less than a car ride away. They pick basic, most of the time it's a soccer complex, and they will put 2, maybe 3 fields together, depending on how many teams will show up. All the teams kind of descend upon this place, and then depending on how records and everything like that, you'll play teams that are skill wise or at least numbers wise in your same area. So this year the Des Moines Roosters were in Division 2. There were 3 other teams in Division 2, so they just had like a round robin play, and then the team with the best record won Division 2. The regular schedule, when it's not nationals or regionals, which is, like I said, it's basically tournament play, it's all up to the presidents. The presidents can reach out, so we have Minnesota, Chicago, St. Louis, Kansas City, and Madison close to us. So our president will reach up to the Madison Wombats and say, hey, we want to play a game mid-August, say the second weekend in August. They'll go, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Okay, where are we playing? Okay, so we're going to play in Des Moines for this week. So we pick a weekend, and then the home team will pick up the schedule, we'll pick up where the field is. We'll set up the field. Unlike AFL, we do PVC piping to kind of put up the goalposts.
How that works. Cool. Yep.
Yep, we do, which is so funny sometimes when we have one that hits the post, because sometimes it explodes. or my favorite is that we'll use stakes that are about 6 feet tall, and we'll do about a 4 foot tall PVC piping, and then another 6-footer, so it has only about 2 foot on the stake. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen it hit and it just flies away. It's kind of funny, but it's the only way we can play. Nobody's going to have a 10 foot, 15 foot high post that they can put anywhere. So we kind of have to make do what we do. We'll set up either cones, or we'll do like the lawn spray, where it puts out a white line for the boundaries. We have umpires kind of strategically placed throughout the country, so most of the teams know who the umpires are, so they can call and say, hey, come on down, we'll pay you $75 to umpire this game, or whatever. I don't know what the financial backing is for that. Goal umpires are usually 2 people that don't mind doing it, which is always fascinating when you get somebody that's not very fast and they're trying to do goals. I've done it myself. Boundary umpires is kind of player honesty, shall we say, that it's like, okay, it's out, which sometimes can cause some issues when you get a player that just wants to win, to the point where they'll lie that the ball went out, or say that it went out on the full when it didn't. So there's a little bit of trust between the 2 teams. But we'll play a match there, and then your schedule could be anywhere from 4 games to 10 games, depending on how many clubs that your president reaches out to. And then at the end of the year, we have nationals in October. This particular year, nationals is in Arizona, which I'm fascinated to see how they're going to do that in the heat. I know that the park that they're going to does have lights. So I've heard some talk about having a break during the middle of the day when it's the hottest, and then actually playing the last of the games under lights, which nationals has never done. So I'd be fascinated to see if they do that. But nationals is same thing, division play, but it's the entire country. So you'll get people from the western part of the country, the eastern part of the country, southeast, northeast, all of them. And they split you again by divisions. Division 1 is the best team in the country over the last 10 years, basically, has been the Austin Crows. They've won 7 of the last 8 national championships in Division 1. They're so good because they've recruited Australians that come up, whether for job, different things. Well, but the thing though is that with our league is that we have the 50-50 rule. So half your team must be Americans. The other half can then be international, which that covers Irish, Canadian, basically anything that isn't the U.S. is considered an international. So for some teams, what they'll do is if it's an 18-a-side game, the most you can have is 9 Australians. That's it. The other 9 must be Americans. So that way the American player isn't kind of froze out because, well, we've got 15 Aussies, so we're going to have 15 Aussies. No, can't do that. If you play a 9-a-side, if you play an 18-a-side game, half the players must be American.
I'm kind of picturing that part from The Simpsons when they had the softball team and Bart and Milhouse are picking teams and Bart's like picking the other school kids. And then a professional softball player comes past and Milhouse is like, I'll pick him. I'll pick Jose Canseco. I'm imagining that, but it's like Nick Rewalt walked past, like him, the tall blonde guy.
Well, I know Nick Rewalt was in Dallas. The question was, I wonder if the Dallas Dingoes got a hold of him. It would have been fascinating. And then the AFL actually was part of a kind of a sponsor for what we kind of ad-libbed, because they have the International Cup. I don't know if you guys have heard of the International Cup. It's basically the World Cup of Aussie rules, and it was played in Melbourne a while back. It was supposed to be in 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020. But basically this year, instead of doing an international, last year, instead of doing an International Cup, they did Transatlantic Cup. So France, Ireland, and England came over here, and then the USA, Canada, and Colombia. And we had games here, and we had Nick Rewalt was there. In fact, he actually called a few of the games on the live broadcast. And Josh Kennedy, the former Swans player, was one of the assistant coaches for Team Colombia because his wife is Colombian. So he's wanting to work on his Spanish. So he joined on the coaching staff of Team Colombia. So there's some AFLers that know about it. I know Paul Roos helped start the USAFL, and he was actually one of the first coaches for the national team, the Revolution. But the funniest part about it is Mason Cox had no connection to it, but now one of his brothers is the starting ruckman for the U.S. national team.
I imagine Cox doesn't want any more Americans coming over and stealing his thunder.
It's my thing.
Well, he comes over here for nationals every year because, like I said, both his brothers play footy over here. In fact, I actually met him and he shook my hand and my hand disappeared. That's how big that guy's hand is. I kid you not. I agree. I was like, "Hi, I'm Donnie Hess. I'm the coach of the Roosters." Totally did not think, dude, you should get him on your podcast. Just totally had a brain fade at that time. But he literally shook my hand and I went, "Where'd my hand go?" Like, his hand was massive.
Hey, being a Collingwood player, you're lucky just your hand that went like your wallet. God, that was such an easy joke. Mason, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, which is really funny because I was standing in front of the New York Magpies at the time that I met him. So
with the USA, that is so much more involved than I thought. That's an amazing amount of people getting into AFL football. Have you found, in your time, being an international supporter, have you found that AFL has grown in the US? Do you think it will grow further?
It really depends on who you talk to. Honestly, it really does. Amongst people in the USAFL, it is growing, and it is growing rapidly. Last time I talked to the media manager, who's a really good friend of mine. He's been on the podcast before. I think we're up to 52 teams altogether throughout the country, including, if you guys ever go to Hawaii, there is a club in Hawaii, the Hawaii Eagles. That's one. There's most of the big cities throughout the country have it, but it is still a niche. I can't tell you how many times I'm walking around in my Des Moines Roosters gear and I have people, "What are the Des Moines Roosters?" And so I have to explain it a little bit. I know one time I wore my Sydney Swans hat out and somebody wanted to know what that was. Somebody wanted to know about it. So it's known more than I think people know about, especially Australians. I'll tell them, yeah, there's a league over here. And it's no pushover. It's not one of those where it's any Aussie is going to be able to come over here and get 35 disposals and kick 6 goals. No, I mean, there's some legitimate players over here
that
I
was my
think,
plan.
honestly, could go over and play at least country footy over there and do a decent job. In fact, I know several players that have played country footy over there and had decent careers playing country footy. They didn't get to where Mason Cox is, but they didn't do too bad for an American. So it's not like this pushover league. There's some legitimate athletes that play in it. Yeah, it's growing in niche markets, but overall, I think it would be perfect for the American audience because we love violence and we love offense. The problem I see with it is that the time frame for professional games just isn't there because. I mean, let's be honest. Anybody that follows my socials knows primetime AFL games usually start anywhere between 3:30 and 5 a.m. in the morning. over here. And a majority of the American people are asleep. So they're not going to be able to watch it. And the ones that are watching it, I question whether they have the athleticism to really do it, because most of them are either insomniacs or honestly, they're not a sport person at all. They're just night owls that happen to be up. So that's the one thing that I think really kind of hurts the AFL a little bit when it comes to spreading over here is the prime market. It's the time frame. Really is the biggest issue. Like if you played a game, I know that they had discussed at one time, your club, Jesse, Essendon playing GWS in LA, which would be fantastic. And I think honestly, you'd get a lot of people there. The only issue that you run, it's the one thing where I'll give Eddie McGuire just the tiniest bit of credit, which hurts me to say, is that there is no stadium that fits your field, because they're built for, most of the time they're built for gridiron or soccer or football, depending on who you talk to in the world. So we don't have that big a field. But honestly, the one thing that you probably could have done to get it to explode over here, you shit all over it. And that was AFLX.
I was just going to say AFLX. Yes, bring it back. Do it in Vegas. It is such a Vegas thing.
I just imagine
take the gimmick.
A bunch of Americans just saying, "What is a super duper goal?"
Yeah, that's it's the gimmick. The gimmick stuff is what killed it. Like if you just played a 9-a-side or a 10-a-side game on a rugby field. I've played our local tournament 80-35. We play 10-a-side, and though we're not the greatest skilled guys, I mean we're still putting up 60. We're still putting up 60 points. So you start getting guys like, I mean, I said this one time. Just offhandedly, and somebody kind of was like, how nuts would it be to play in Jerry World down in Dallas and get 100,000 people watching Collingwood and Carlton playing a preseason AFL X game, 10-a-side? Like you could sell out 100,000 and do really well if you could get people to go. It's just, you had all of the gimmick stuff that just absolutely ruined it, which only helped the AFL old guard be like, see, we can't do this. This isn't football. This is just some crap that they're doing. They're trying to Americanize us, and nobody's trying to do it, dude. But it's just, it's one of those that the present day young Australian, they're used to watching American sports, and it's very over the top. It's very peacockish. So
that's not like the AFL to turn a product that has really good bones and then not support it properly and then add in too many things that don't make sense and then blame the product.
When I think of AFLX,
it's like AFLW in a vacuum.
Whenever I think of AFLX, I think of two things. I think of the Guernseys absolutely ruled, and the promo shot was like Gil McLaughlin or whoever it was at the time, next to a person dressed as a giant football, and then somebody on stilts next to them. I'm just like, what was like the vision board for this particular experience? Because I think you've kind of gone a little bit scattershot here. And you're right, like, you've said it on your show a few times, like, a lot of the times people will push back on AFL getting Americanized. And I definitely have. There's been a few things that come over. And I'm like, I don't think it works. It's not because it's because American or just like from a different sport from around the world. I just think some things just don't fit. But AFLX does feel like a really modern, fast-paced product that does feel Americanized in a way that they could take advantage of by playing it in America. Because one of the things with AFLX is trying to get good players to play it. If you have it in the States, there's a lot of players who'd be like, yeah, I'll go to States for 2 weeks. Like, cool, they can go check out a bunch of other things, but also play a game. I think it'd be a really, really cool way to market the game. And the AFL loves making money. So they should do that.
I'm 100% with you. I don't know, like I said, when they started doing the super duper goals and the game changer where they had the special uniform where if they kicked it, it was double the points. It got overly gimmicked.
I forgot about the game changer.
Well, and that's the other thing too.
The AFL did.
Well, and here's again, you got to remember that the AFLX had two different versions of it. You had the regular one where it was like there were like mini tournaments between the clubs where it was still the AFL clubs, and then you had the one year where you had like Deadly and Brahmas and whatever the hell the four names were. Which I didn't mind it because it intermixed the teams. Like I thought the draft was done really well. I thought it was fantastic. But again, it was the over the top gimmick stuff that really annoyed me, because I thought the games, quite honestly, with the skills of the AFLers, was quite entertaining. I thought the ball pinged, you were getting goals scored rather quickly. It kind of did make the ruck kind of irrelevant honestly, just because there really was no need for the super tall guy when literally you could kick it from one goal line to the other in less than 2 kicks. So it really kind of took away any need for a ruckman. You could just kind of like, hey, just go jump. So, but no, but honestly, I think Americans would absolutely love it because it'd be high scoring, it'd be fast paced, it would keep people's attention, which is hard to do with this thing in your hand all the time. But it just, when it got shit on and then disappeared, you can kind of tell it was one of those, the AFL is kind of like, get back in there. And I was just kind of like, well, there went your opportunity to get to go mainstream over here. It was the first thing that went through my head. And I've said it and I'll continue to say it, that if you look at all of the stadiums over here and you could get 60, 70,000 people could sit in, and the field, you wouldn't have to change much on the field dimensions to play a box style 9-on-9 game. If you want to triangle the boundaries, okay, you can do that. Or you can maybe find a way to just kind of do your normal oval, just kind of be like the GMHBA stadium where you have almost flat boundaries, and then there you go. Like it would work. But what do I know? I'm just an American, right?
You just sold AFL like so much better than the AFL did, and now I'm really pissed it's gone. And I think we really need
you
to
were
push
not the
forward
first person to say
bring it
that
back.
to me.
Well, let's have a look at our, let's face it, in comparison, boring AFL fixture. Let's have a look at the last round. Donnie likes to go through every game in detail because he knows what he's talking about. Us and the Falcon, we're idiots. So we do skip a few games, so just a heads up with that.
I don't know about idiots. I just think for you guys have a little bit more going on than I do. So you guys kind of go down to what are the games that keep people's attention? And unfortunately, there are a few games this week that probably should not have been watched by anybody.
They shouldn't have happened, and we'll get there. Let's start off, though, with the first game of the round, Blues versus Lions. Of course, Lions won this by 37 points, 66 to 103. The game itself, pretty boring. However, it did have quite an interesting build-up into it. So, a Collingwood fan, bizarrely, texted a quote-unquote threat to the MCG's anti-social hotline service, which was received by the venue security team and then passed on to the AFL. The fan was banned for 5 years. Now, when this was put through the media, I'm not sure how much of this media coverage you got on your end there, Donnie, but it was a full-on death threat. Like there was security, plus he has to go through like a different part to go into the ground, which I thought would be something that they wanted to keep secret. But all these footy journalists be like, Vossi will be coming down this run at this time. It's like, maybe I wouldn't do that. However, post the verdict coming out and the punishment being doled out, the contents of the message came out. The message said, I would like to report 23 missing persons and preemptively report the murder of Michael Voss. A lot of people have seen that and it's like, look, probably not appropriate, probably not a serious threat, probably more of a misguided joke from a Collingwood fan. Clarky, I'll start with you. What do you think this was an actual threat? Do you think the punishment serves a crime? Is there a crime?
I think like 110% this was overblown by the media. Like I think there's two separate issues that come out of this, which is one, Jesus Christ, like the media like oversold it as if they needed security posted outside Michael Voss's home because it was, and I think I've said this before on the show, right? It seems at the moment it's in vogue to capitalize on Carlton misery, which I think is just straight up wrong, and it leads to things like this because everybody wants to talk about Carlton, so we've got to take it to the nth degree. Is banning the fan for 5 years once the content came out? It's, I mean, 5 years is probably a little bit too much, but also like super not appropriate. I think it's one of those things where you can't just go, oh, well, nothing should have happened because this is obviously someone being a dickhead. But 5 years is probably inappropriate for that level of, if they've obviously passed this on to the police, there's obviously no charges have been laid against this person. It's only gone as far as a ban from the venue itself, which means that it's not even been deemed a credible threat by the authorities. So, I mean, give them a 1 year ban and go, don't fucking do that.
I cannot believe that this anti-social behavior line hasn't got more shitty messages like this. Like, this is not the first one. I've probably sent some. Like, what are you doing? Like, is it just because like Carlton's in the news at the moment and Voss is kind of the center, like the focal point of the news media at the moment? They're just like, hey, this is something. Because before the actual content came out, I'm just like, yeah, no, ban them. Like, you cannot do that. You cannot directly threaten a coach, because the media was saying, the way the media put it, I thought like Vossi got mailed a finger or something like that. Like, he's Sam Walsh's foot. Like, you can't do that.
I believe that in
the message itself,
in one of the media reportings of it before the message came out, I think it was described as grotesque and detailed or something like that. And then when it came out, it was like, that was neither of those things.
no.
That's why I keep thinking this has to be wrong. Like, this has to be the wrong message that they're talking about. Like, this isn't the one that the guy got in trouble for.
Some guys sent this and gotten in trouble, and there's someone else who's just sharpening, like cleaning their rifle with a picture of Michael Voss there, and they've just missed his message completely.
Well, Donnie, you don't live in the vacuum of the AFL media, so how did you receive this when it was kind of the hot topic?
Jeez. When I first heard about it, I was just like, seriously? And the way I kind of had it broadcast, and again, maybe it's a little bit of through the AFL mirror a little bit, was that it almost kind of assumed or made it off like it was a Carlton fan that actually did it. And I was like, when I first heard it, it was like he had death threats. I'm like, seriously, why you're death threatening over footy? Like, I mean, when did we turn into South American soccer? Like, I hate going there, but it's kind of true. Like, I was sitting there just baffled, and then more and more came out. It's like, oh, it was a Collingwood guy. So it's like, okay, so this was either just a really stupid joke or just a Collingwood fan really trying to take the piss out of Carlton in one of the probably dumbest ways possible. I don't know. I sat here going like, and then as more and more came out, and then like, was it Voss had like 6 extra security? I know Triple M kept saying like, he's got another 6 security people walking on. Like, they are taking this as a serious, credible threat, which again, they need to, because nobody should ever feel like they're in danger going to the footy. That absolutely is unacceptable. I kind of almost go, it's like, it's a really bad joke. I almost kind of feel like he kind of got away lightly, personally. 5 years for me is nothing. Like, he'll sit at home, drink a few beers, and then in 5 years he gets to go back to the footy again. Like, I just honestly don't feel that. I know maybe it's a piss take, maybe, but I don't know. I kind of feel like he got a slap on the wrist, and he really didn't get much of a punishment for what seriously cannot happen.
Oh, 100%. Like, the trickiest part of this was the media's reporting of this was so out of place, and I think because it made what could be deemed as, just a really, really bad taste and poorly thought out joke, made it seem like an absolute, like, oh shit, the Zodiac Killer's back. When that does happen, hopefully it doesn't, but when there is like a real, like, vicious, violent, grotesque, as I say, threat towards the coach, it sort of diminishes that as well. I don't know, it feels like a very weird way that the media went with it, that's thrown, I think, expectations of what the punishment is or what it should be off a little bit. But like, would Collingwood fan bring a gun to the ground when it was Collingwood Carlton earlier?
2,
like,
yeah, 2 fans.
One's good, one's bad. We get it. Like, chill. All right, let's move on to, Collingwood again. But this time they lost, so that's funny. On Friday night, Suns versus Pies. Maybe the game of the year. Suns 69, nice. Defeated the Pies 63 by 6 points. Chris, do you think this is the best Suns win they've ever had?
I mean, I think that the best Suns win was early in their career where Carmichael Hunt kicked a goal after the siren to beat Richmond. That'll go down in Suns folklore. This one, it was super impressive, and then all of a sudden they just stopped, and then it made a really exciting end to the game, which was then super impressive again. It was such an odd win, but it looked like they were going to win by 60, and then all of a sudden it's like they just walked off the field and let Collingwood kick a bunch of goals, and Josh Dacos apparently was the only person on the field for the last quarter.
We'll talk about Josh Dacos because I think we have an apology to make, but we've all talked shit about the Dacos family as a whole, to be fair, okay?
Collingwood were goalless for 2.5 quarters.
That's insane. Like, everyone's
2.5 quarters.
They're top of the ladder for a reason. They have been the dominant team. It's always been Collingwood and then just miles between them and the next team. To keep them goalless for that long was insane. However, when they started piling on goals in that third, I did have that sick feeling I used to get. Remember that year where they just kept coming back and winning every game? I was like, it's happening again. They're back.
I think the other big talking point from this game was I think this one really flipped the Brownlow market on its head, because I don't think Nick will poll in this game, but Noah Anderson probably gets either the 3 or the 2. It was between him and Matt Rowell, really. And Josh obviously had a big game, but them getting the win, I think it was between him and Matt Rowell. Gold Coast also have a game in hand on everyone else. Like, Noah Anderson, big chance.
I don't think Suns need to play Essendon. I don't think we need to. Like, have the 4 points. That's fine. I don't think we need a standalone game between the end of the year and the finals where Suns absolutely pulverize Essendon. I don't think we need that.
It's so interesting that you bring that up as well, because, and I think we should talk about this just maybe towards the end of it, because I know, Donnie, you have a point to make, but Suns look like they're going to make finals, and they don't get a week off.
They kind of do.
Yeah, it is the weird kind of dichotomy about the whole the Cyclone Alfred really has kind of buggered up so many things for the AFL. Not only did it make fans more and more pissed about opening round, but it does throw this curveball. Like, I think I kind of agree with Jesse. I'm kind of like, I bet if you ask most Essendon fans, they're just like, Gold Coast, just take the fucking 4 points. Just,
you know what did happen?
We're not in the mood to send our players out. I mean, we're already going through a shit-tacular year is the way it's going. But I don't know. Gold Coast is one of those teams to me. Like, this game, it was a fantastic watch. Like, thank God, a Friday night footy game that wasn't an absolute stinker. It was fantastic to watch. I was so glad that I got up to watch this game. But the part that I found almost more fascinating was it was like Gold Coast actually played a road environment at home and did well. Like, normally when they go on the road, they kind of shit the bed sometimes. Like, I know Marvel Stadium has all of a sudden become Dimmer's favorite because he can actually win there now. I know that's another one that I know a few friends over here that have a chuckle at that. I'm like, yep. I don't know. It was a gritty win. This is a Pies team that I think they kind of needed a loss to kind of bring them back to kind of reality a little bit, because you could tell that even the Collingwood fans were starting to peacock a little bit. They were like, look at us at the top. And I said in my show, I said, this reminds me of Sydney last year. Sydney was doing the same thing. They had 3 games on everybody else, looking absolutely fantastic. And what happens? They lose 6 of their last 9 going into the finals and kind of scrape by GWS to get to that preliminary final, get a little bit of luck against a Port Adelaide team that I think kind of spent most of their petrol tickets against Hawthorn. And then the grand final is what the grand final was. So I don't know. Are we seeing a replay of last year's Sydney Swans team in Collingwood where it's like, did they peak too early? Is a fascinating thought process for me.
Well, 2 of us. I won't say the whole Falcon crew. I just say 2 of us did predict that.
And
last year
one of us
with Swans
actually predicted that about Collingwood on this podcast 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You fuckers, I saw you.
And I predicted Swans coming back after the bye and being really good.
Listeners,
you should take a risk, take a swing.
As you can see, listeners, like the way this video is set up, there's like the 4 panels with all of us in video there. Somehow I saw Chris and Jesse look at each other only.
We're linked.
And I saw this coming about 30 seconds ago.
We're like 2 of the fates. You're not waiting.
So I said last week, I think this game was very typical of Collingwood, because I think Collingwood are probably the best paced team. And you could probably argue that if they kicked a little bit better in those first 2 quarters, the result might have been different. But I think the Flowers really need to go to Gold Coast for this. Happened against GWS a couple of weeks ago, where they had a significant lead, lost that lead, and just completely lost control of the game. But Collingwood overtook them, and Gold Coast fought back. They literally learned their lesson within a couple of weeks, which I think is so telling of where they're at.
It was quite funny because there was a good chance that Rao may go to Collingwood in the year. So all these Collingwood fans for weeks, for months, have been talking about how good Matty Rao's going to be for the team. And then he signed on with Gold Coast, and it's like, no, overrated, he's shit, he eats grass, like, what a loser. And then he's just come out with a point to prove. I'm still kind of gutted that he's not up for trade anymore. But Chris, you mentioned like Noah Anderson being a Brownlow smoky. Because of how the Brownlow works, and I don't love how it works, I think Rao and him are going to steal too many votes off each other. You did bring up Dacos not getting any votes in this game. Nick Dacos won't be. Josh will get a few. So can we just talk about his last quarter and if he is the better brother? So in the last quarter alone, he had 16 disposals, 311 meters gained, 4 clearances, 2 inside 50s, 5 tackles, 2 goals, and 1 score assist. And I think he scored like 100 and Supercoach points in a quarter. It was maybe or close to the highest Supercoach scored quarter in history. It was dominant, one of the greatest quarters of like individual brilliance we will ever see. They just moved him to the midfield. Do you think they should do that? All you
So
need to do is move him to the midfield.
So good for you to you're giving him flowers and chocolates and celebrating him. Go, all they did was move him into the midfield, so it's not really that
But
impressive.
what I'm saying is, he is a gun player. I think he just permanently needs to be in that midfield now. Do you think it could be one of those things that it throws off the balance of the team? Because, like, you got to think his best game was the game they lost. Maybe it doesn't work as a full team effort kind of thing.
Well, it also coincided with, I think that it was probably the best game for Collingwood that Dan Houston's played. So I don't know if Josh not being down there has freed up Houston, because Houston's been a little bit disappointing since he's gone to Collingwood.
Mm.
And, I mean, Josh has just been a seagull down back, just getting the Caleb Daniel possessions, just the cheap possessions off everyone and kicking, being the designated
Drive-by.
being the designated kicker out of defense. So him moving into the midfield, it happened to coincide with Houston's, probably his best game for Collingwood as well. One thing I do just want to say while we're on the past predictions bandwagon, I believe that one of the people on this podcast last year said that Nick Dacos had peaked. I think that Josh is showing us that that's true.
Who could have
I
said
don't
that?
think another player playing well shows that one player peaked. Chris,
Yes, it does.
Chris, I'm not convinced you know what peaked means.
Peaked means Nick
Because even when you-
Dacos. That's what it means.
I
Peaked
think
means Nick Dacos.
the
Like,
worst
there's
part
the
about this is that we all know, this one's for the Lord of the Rings fans out here, that Josh Dacos goes home to Peter Dacos, his father, and goes, "Father, I had 16 disposals in the last quarter, 311 meters gained, but we still lost the game." And
Your brother would have had 17.
Peter turns and goes, "Nick would have never lost the game."
Oh, I need to make that. That is fantastic. Lucky, I'm a
This
big
is
fan of
awesome.
that. Yeah, so look, we apologize to Josh Dacos. You are now our favorite. And Peter Dacos, if you're listening, maybe you should consider the same thing. Maybe you should tell your kids which one's your favorite, and it should be Josh. Let's move on to Saturday. Dogs versus the Crows. Why did I say verse so weird? Dogs versus the Crows. Dogs 98 lost to the Crows by 11 points. Chris, just going to throw this one to you. What are your thoughts here?
I think that the reaction to it is a little bit overblown. Yes, the last 5 minutes we got a bit of a run on. I think that's like, we lost by 11. I know that the scoreline ended up flattering us, but we did get a run on. If we had have come over the top of them, then the narrative out of this game would have been completely different. Everyone's saying how we've proven that we're not there yet. We're not contenders this year. We just can't get it done against the top 8 teams. We were potentially another 2 minutes away from everyone saying, "Wow, gritty come from behind win from the Dogs."
While I do agree with you in part, Chris, you can't say if the game was longer, we would have won.
Just saying. I will say, I didn't think we played that bad. We made some stupid mistakes. I didn't think Adelaide played amazingly well. I thought both teams were pretty evenly matched. The issue with this game, and I'm going to sound like I'm 70 years old here, but the game was lost at the selection table. Unfortunately, Bevo, he's been having a good season. He's gotten a lot of praise early in the season. I don't know why the fuck he thought we could go up against Thilthorpe, Fogarty, and Walker and only pick O'Donnell and Lobb as our defenders when we've got Liam Jones sitting in the VFL doing nothing and Jed Bustlinger sitting in the VFL doing nothing. It was an odd selection. Thilthorpe, Fogarty, and Walker was my big worry going into this game. Like, I didn't think we could handle them, and showed that. Lobb just couldn't handle him. We needed someone else to take the load off. O'Donnell kept letting Fogarty just do whatever he wanted. He was free all the time inside 50, and that was where it was lost. Like, I thought both teams played pretty evenly. It was just that we couldn't handle their forward line, and we could have nullified that if we brought in Jones or Bustlinger.
Donnie, what's your read of the Crows this year?
Here's the thing for me. The Crows are one of my teams that I have a major soft spot for, because maybe it's the fact I've got several really good Crows supporters, and that friendship got tested a couple of years ago with Behind Gate, and it got tested, but I don't know. I like what the Crows are doing. Like, I honestly have all year. Like, their ball movement has been fantastic. They've been one of the few teams that have had 3 talls and not had the problem of them screwing with each other, because you notice they're never going for the same footy. Like, it's always, if it's Fogarty, it's Fogarty. Thilthorpe and Taylor Walker are nowhere near. So I watch this team and I kind of marvel at it occasionally, because they kind of have caught a lot of people off guard, because if you look at it, everybody talks about their forward line. Everybody talks about their center midfield. It's their defense that's probably one of the craziest parts about it, because how many of us can sit here and go, I know the starting 6 for the Adelaide Crows, and that's not a Crow supporter? How many? Because it really is a bunch. I know, exactly. Very, very, exactly. They've been so much fun to watch. They've been really good defensively, which is interesting sometimes, because the Crows have either been all offense, no defense, or kind of neither. And I think that's been the frustration. So that to see them be successful defensively against a Doug East team that, honestly, the only idea that I could think of, Chris, when it comes to it, is I think he thought that they would be able to dominate through the midfield and they could kind of make up for the goals that they gave up with their offense. I mean, Ed Richards is absolutely on fire. Bont is the Bont. I mean, that's just the way it goes. Lib has been fantastic. Their midfield has been incredible, and they still don't have Trelaw. So the only thought process that I can think of, if I put myself in a coach's hat when it comes to Bevo, is I think he was kind of hoping that they would be able to dominate enough in the midfield that they could kind of make up for the goals that they did give up. And surprisingly, Dawson, Rankin, Barry, and that midfield just kind of, I think, surprised them with how effective they were. And I agree with you. I thought the selection was a little odd. I thought Liam Jones is a perfect addition, especially with his intercepting ability, with the Crows wanting to go deep in, because they know they've got Thilthorpe back there. They've got Walker. They've got Fogarty, all who are great marking forwards. So I don't know. It was, I agree with you, but then I almost kind of think, like, was there a little bit of, well, we think we can kind of handle what's going to happen a little bit and we'll be okay. Like, we'll be able to kind of maximize what we do forward of the ground, and it'll work out. And it just kind of didn't. I think the Crows kind of surprised them with what they could do. I will put it out there. They're my dark horse team to win the whole thing, because I honestly believe if they stay healthy, if Rankin can stay healthy, there are very few teams that can stop that forward line. Very few teams that can stop that forward line when it's clicking. And then you get Benny Keys get in there. Like I said, Rankin can shift forward almost in that Dusty Martin role to kind of go through the midfield and then shift forward. I like the Crows. I think the Crows are going to be a team that you've got to keep an eye on, because if they make top 4, even slip into top 2, I don't think they will, but if they slip into top 2, you don't want to go to the Adelaide Oval with the Crows Ferals up and about. You do not want to go there.
I completely agree, and I think I've been saying for probably about the last month that Adelaide were my smoky for the flag, because on ratings, I think they have the perfect balance of they're great in attack and they're great in defense. They don't really have that kind of imbalance where they're really good in one and off with the other. I've been saying since last year how good Josh Worrell is as a defender, and he's finally starting to get recognised. Mark Keane's been great. Jordan Butts punctured lung on the weekend, but has been really good as well.
Did Sam Darcy do that 5-point exploding palm technique in Kill Bill on Butts? Like, how did he hit him so hard that his organs exploded?
It's super cool that Jesse was muted, and I wasn't sure what to expect when he unmuted himself, but 5-finger palm technique. It was crazy, apparently. And then I heard somewhere after that someone was just like, oh, yeah, no, with tall guys, sometimes their lungs just collapse. And I was like, that's not good.
How tall is Butts? How tall is Butts? Google that.
I haven't said anything for a while, so I'm going to make a bold prediction, since we're doing predictions this episode, apparently. The Bulldogs are going to be the most talented list to not make the 8.
I like that. I don't know.
With Fremantle and GWS sitting right around that same area, it's a bold call.
I had a look at Freo's next 6 and the Bulldogs' next 6, and there's probably 3 wins in there for each of them guaranteed, and 3 maybes, because Freo play Collingwood this week and the Bulldogs play Brisbane.
Well, let's move on to a game where nobody won. Look, Richmond won, but still nobody won. And a few people have given me shit about this game already. Don't know why. So I thought I would talk about it in my own way. I'm going to tell you guys about my weekend. So I went away for the weekend. I went to Warburton with a bunch of friends for a friend's birthday. Warburton is a lovely part of Victoria. Mountains, rivers, forest, beautiful. So Saturday afternoon, we went out to a redwood forest. There aren't many of those in Victoria. I've never been to one before. It was incredible. Some really cool photos. Lovely day. I've been looking forward to this for months. Get back to the house. House is lovely as well, for the most part. I step on the front deck, not realizing that the board that I step on is rotting away. My foot goes right through it. almost break my ankle. Like, oh, not great. Surely the day won't get worse. Anyway, the house had a really weird feature. The door the door handles had a magnetic latch, which is weird. It worked the exact same way a normal latch on a door would work, but for some reason, they were magnets. My partner and I kept mentioning that the door handle on our room was a bit weird. Like, you turn it and it takes like half a second and then it clicks out. It's like, that's weird. I'm going to have a shower before dinner on Saturday night. Close the door. Go to open the door. Nothing. It just jiggles. Like, oh, not good. Maybe it's just stuck. I'll text my partner and say, hey, can you come and open the door, see if it works? She comes over, she tries it, and all I hear is, oh, the door's stuck. I then spend an hour and a half stuck in this room where we try and take apart this door handle with tools we had to try and scrounge around from the house. We had to MacGyver it. They passed me a knife underneath the window, which I had to use to turn some Allen keys. We then got on the phone with the owner of the place. We're on the phone with him for like half an hour as he tries to explain how doorknobs work to us. And I'm just like, hey, mate, I know how a door works. It's meant to open. I know how they're meant to work. I'm either going to break the window to get out or kick the door down. You're going to have to make a choice at some point. And it got to the point where we basically just ripped the door handle off and I got out. Somehow that Richmond Essendon game was the worst part of that fucking day still. I almost broke my ankle and I got trapped in some murderer's house as far as I'm concerned. And that game was so bad it wasn't just bad that we lost. I almost don't care that we lost. Deep down I do. But I'm going to say I don't care that we lost the game. It was the way we did. The first quarter was like, okay, fine. I don't expect this to be a high-scoring, particularly skilled game. But then just to have like half of football where nothing happened, and then when something happened, it was Nick Martin's knee being like, I'm done as well. And then after the game, we also found out that Will Setterfield out for us the year. So our midfield is now Merritt, Durham, Oldie? Goldie was one of our most active and agile players that night. It's crazy. Anyway, let's move on to the next game because I fucking hate football. Sunday. Saints versus the Swans. The Swannies got up 87-92. Swans by 5 points. It was a very exciting game to watch as a neutral, but Donnie, I'm sure you have more to say about this one.
It's safe to say the Swans are very good at making the old ball coach sweat a little bit, even if it was 2 a.m. Oh my gosh. The first quarter, I was up and about. I'm like, good. The Swans have started off great. Looks good. Ball movement looks fantastic. They're kicking goals despite the insane pressure and the unbelievably over the top continuing the rear end kiss that the commentators of Fox had for the Saints that entire game. Like, I'm not usually a complainer when it comes to it, but my God, would not shut up about St. Kilda's pressure. Like, the entire game, they kept droning on like the background sounds of a bagpipe. Like, it just, oh my God, seriously. I get it. Okay. The Saints pressure was insane. Like, I will give the Saints all the plaudits in the world. They did everything they possibly could pressure wise to just absolutely annoy, deter everything they could for the Swans. Swans just kept staying in it. It was one of those where it was like, I went into the fourth quarter a little more confident than I think some, at least following my socials. It was like some people were always like, there's no way we used too much energy. We used too much energy that quarter. McCartan got knocked down, so he's out for the game. We only have McLean back there. I'm sitting here going to the fourth quarter going, okay, this isn't going to be easy. And then it was like the fourth quarter, I don't know what Dean Cox said at 3/4 time. I don't know what, but it worked because they kicked the first couple of goals and I was like, okay, here we go. And then the Saints kicked the next one. I was kind of like, uh-oh, like, are the Saints going to be able to handle our counter punch and be able to go right back? Incredible game. Again, all plaudits to the Saints. I think they played fantastic. It was one of those, a little bit of Grundy to Goulden magic, which I'm still sitting here. It's a lot like, what was it? The one ruckman for Port Adelaide to Gray.
Ryder to Gray.
Ryder to Gray.
Yep. Favorite football moments ever.
Exactly. It was like, it was a little bit shorter. It wasn't as long as a hit, but like when Goulden caught it and I was like, oh my God, he's on his left foot. And then when he kicked it, I was like, don't tell me this is going to be a behind. Like, all this great play for it to be behind. When it went through, I was like, yes. And then I'm like, I look at the clock. There's still 2 minutes left. I'm like, oh, like there was that inner panic. You're like, yes, we're leading. Oh crap, there's still time. And it was like, the Swans then surprisingly went into kind of defense mode, but and played really well, got the win. But man, the bum cheeks were tight for sure on that one. Happy for the Swans. I think this year's it's been so much a clusterfuck just because of injury, inconsistency. I mean, there were times I cannot tell you how much my timeline during that like 3 or 4 game losing stretch where like Dean Cox, he's over his head. Dean Cox can't do it. There's no way. Dean Cox must be fired. He was a charity hire. And I'm sitting there now and I'm seeing these same accounts that are absolutely spraying him, that are now praising him. And I'm sitting here going, well, what happened? Like, is winning the only thing that matters? And I get it. We're in AFL footy. I mean, winning is the one thing that your coaches are paid for. It's the other reason why when I hear people like, what are the coaches doing? Why are they making the game so boring? It's like, are you paying them to win? Yeah. Then they're doing their job. Their job is to win footy games. It's not to entertain you. As much as I hear all the time, everybody's like, AFL is an entertainment sport. Don't tell that to the coaches. The coaches don't give a shit about entertainment. They want to win the game. If they win by 1 point, if they win 2-1, they're going to take the 4 points. They're going to be pretty pissed and they'll have quite the fun review, but that's not their job. Their job, they're paid to win. If they have to make the game as boring as hell, they're going to do it. And I think that's the one frustration I have with all the rule changes and everything like that. It's like, don't pay the coaches that, because you're paying the coaches to win. They're going to change it. The stand rule, when it first came in, everybody was, this sucks. And then it opened up and everybody was scoring. What happened? Come wintertime, scoring dies down. Why? Because coaches start adjusting to the way the game is called. If you pay coaches to win games, they're going to do what it takes to win. And sometimes it's not always going to be the most entertaining.
I think Ross Lyon got half of that message because he definitely does coach a boring game, but he doesn't really win as much as he would like to. However, look, I don't give Ross Lyon much praise, and it makes me sick that I'm about to. So I'm not going to give him praise. I'm going to give St Kilda as an amalgam bit of praise here. I was really worried that they were going to make Wangani Malira play St Kilda football. Just get boring, get a bit slow. Despite them losing yesterday, I think it's going the other way. I think the Saints have picked up a little bit here. They're looking exciting. They have some really good players coming through. The Viking is just an absolute gun of a kid. But I feel like rather than St Kildifying Wangani Malira, they're Wangani Maliraing. I fucked myself with this term here.
Yeah.
Wangani Maliraing St Kilda to be a bit more exciting, a bit more dynamic. So I'm going to give them a bit of credit there. And as for Sydney, I mean, there's like a really handsome host of a podcast, the Falcon, I think it was, who predicted this just before the bye rounds, that Sydney were going to be a different team post-byes. Because, Donnie, like you said, it was a lot of injuries. You had key personnel, like leaders. Goulden is the type of player who can change the dynamic of a team. And he has. That moment with Grundy tapping it to him was so exciting, because I also think, can we agree now that Sherry's committed the crime of the century, that Grundy will be the All-Australian ruckman?
I mean, his form over the last 8 or 9 weeks has been ridiculous.
Either him or Cameron.
I worry Max Gawn's going to get a lifetime achievement award on this one, and it is no disrespect. It is no disrespect to Max Gawn, but if Tristan Xerri didn't get suspended, I haven't seen what the length of his suspension is. I haven't had the chance to go through. Okay, thanks, guys. If he wasn't suspended 3 games, I thought Tristan Xerri has been the most consistent of the rucks this season. Max Gawn he kind of valleyed there for a little bit. Brody Grundy, the first 2 rounds was trash. Like I'm not even gonna lie. Like he was trash the first few rounds of the season. Did he get stung
by jellyfish? Was it this year or last year?
No, it was last year.
That was last year.
Having lingering effects.
Yep. Well, the funniest part about it is the game that he got stung was one of his best games last year, which I thought was hilarious. That a few fans were like, "Hey, you guess that's your tradition now. Go get stung by a jellyfish."
Maybe that's what's been happening. He's covered in welts.
And the fact that it was behind his ear too, like it wasn't even like an arm or hand. It was like behind his ear is where he got stung. No, Max Gawn, I think, is probably going to get it just because of that fact. Like I agree. Like Darcy Cameron has played fantastic, but Darcy Cameron unfortunately gets a little covered over by all of what Collingwood is. Grundy has really been 8 rounds. Now, if he goes the rest of the season and stays in this Fuego form, I think he really has a little bit more of an argument. But as long as it is just these last, like if he has a dip in the next couple of weeks, then I think Grundy kind of takes himself out, which again, depending on who you talk to. Right now, I'm leaning towards Max Gawn just because Xerri's 3 games is going to hurt him. I think Max Gawn will be it. They don't have the cojones to put a second ruck into the All-Australian, just like they don't have the cojones to actually put forwards in their forward line. They have to put midfielders through the center midfielders that only play 2% forward time, because heaven forbid we actually do the work to actually find forwards that have been good instead of,
we got to put Petrarch
at the half forward line so we can get him in. Screw that crap. I do an all-Australian team every year. And I think it irks people off because I literally do. Like, I pick wings in the wings position. I put forwards in the forward position. Like, it is like, the midfielders already have the award, and they call it the Brownlow. Okay, it's the midfielder award. There's just no other way to argue it. So at least give the All-Australian forward positions to forwards, not midfielders that barely ever go forward.
Well, I think that's the round wrapped up there. Well, the game's worth talking about at least. I think we should move into the fifth quarter. Now, for the fifth quarter this week, I'm bringing back an old classic, the quiz. The quiz is back. For those who aren't aware,
some say it never left.
Some say it never left. Some say it malformed and it's returned. I have 9 questions here. We're going to go around. You're going to pick a number between 1 and 9 that hasn't been picked so far, Chris, and I will read out the question. Some questions are multiple choice, some aren't. So I guess it is a little bit different. I couldn't think of enough multiple choice questions. These questions do have a bit of a lean to them, a bit of a twist to them. They all have a slightly American focus. I thought I'd even the playing field. Donnie's like, fuck. You have to get them all right now. I'm going to let you go first. Can you please pick a number between 1 and 9? I will just say I did try to think of a name for this quiz, and all I came with was a merit can idiot. So I scrapped it because it wasn't very good. But I still said it.
I'll start. What the heck? I'll go with 1.
Number the first. All right. Mason Fletcher, son of Essendon King and long arm haver Dustin Fletcher, is a punter for which American college football team? This is multiple choice. A, the TCU Horned Frogs. B, the Cincinnati Bearcats. C, Arizona State Sun Devils. Or D, Texas Tech Red Raiders. What does Mason Fletcher punt for?
I believe it's Cincinnati, I believe.
You're looking in B, Cincinnati Bearcats? That would be correct. You're on the board. Good work. I had a lot of fun looking up these team names as well, because the TCU Horned Frogs make me laugh. And that's who I would go for because of that
The
name.
funniest part is it's not actually a frog, it's a lizard. That's the funniest part about it.
Get it right. Called the Horned... All right, I've changed. I've moved on. I'm going for the Sun Devils now. Flarky, you're up next. Please pick a number between 2 and 9 now.
Just to try and trip Chris up, I'm going to pick number 6.
How would that...
Because he's more likely to forget which ones have been said before I do.
Good point. Okay, now this is a bit of a tricky one, so I'm going to give you 3 guesses. I'm going to say higher or lower.
Okay.
How many hitouts did Texan big man and bespectacled cult hero Mason Cox have in the 2023 grand final? How many hitouts?
In the grand final.
Mason Cox have in the grand final. If you have 3 guesses, I'll say higher or lower.
35.
Lower.
24.
Higher.
Or 29.
Incorrect. It was 31.
Ooh.
That is...
You know, I go pretty close. I was in the ballpark.
Yeah, but I also give you 3 guesses and hints. So I wouldn't give you too much credit, but thanks for trying. Speaking of trying, Chris, you're up. Can you try and remember which numbers haven't been called out?
You're going to go number 4.
Good work, Chris. You're halfway there. Okay.
I'm a third of the way there.
Well, whatever. It's not a math quiz. That was last week. Who won the flag in the same year that Obama got re-elected for his second term?
Obama was elected in 2008, so his second year
Chris
was
was like,
2000,
not my bloody president.
2012, which I believe was Sydney?
In Sydney?
Yeah.
2012?
Yeah.
Donnie's naughty. He knows that Sydney defeated Hawthorn by 10 points in 2012. Chris, you're on the board.
Big Obama fan.
Still one of my favorite grand finals.
fan.
Still one of my favorite grand finals. Not just because Sydney won, but just the atmosphere of that game was fantastic, and the fact that it was the last time that Bruce McIlvaney and Bruce and
Dennis Committee?
my God, Centimeter Perfect, Dennis Committee were both calling it. I still have that game in my library on my computer. Will not delete it. Will never delete that game because I cannot lose Dennis Committee and Bruce McIlvaney both calling that absolute epic games.
And as
Also, big
impartial
Obama
fans,
fan.
as impartial fans of the game, like seeing Hawthorn lose the grand final is fantastic. So I think we all enjoyed that.
Yeah.
All
that's
right.
fair.
Donnie's on 1 point. Chris is on 1 point. Donnie, you are up. Please pick a number.
I'll keep with my theme. I'll go with 2.
2. Okay. Donnie, I want you to... A little bit of acting here. No, really, I'm not going to do a voice. It's the year 1960. and we're in the streets of Boston. I ask you if you've been keeping up with the AFL. What would I be referring to? I wasn't acting at all. It's just
No.
a question.
It's just
Oh my
reading. It
God.
was a reading.
Just basic reading comprehension, that one.
Could be slam poetry.
Year 1960. I'll just say I picked Boston for no particular reason. I'm just in the streets of America. And I ask you if you've been keeping up with the AFL.
I'm drawing a blank on this one for sure.
Gonna have to time you out here in a moment.
Buzz me.
You're
I have
out.
no clue.
The AFL back in 1960 was the American Football League, which was established in 1959 and began play the next year as a direct competitor to the NFL. And no clue. Just when I typed in AFL USA facts, it was the first thing that came up. Donnie, you have not answered incorrectly, but you haven't answered, so that's as good as being incorrect. So no points on that
Thanks,
one.
Jesse. We crossed to left.
What's up? Clarky, you smart ass, you're up next. Please,
Number 8.
Number the 8th. Okay. According to his own claims, Donald Trump is 6'3", making him as tall as which player is multiple choice? A. Josh Dunkley. B. Clayton Oliver. C. The Bont. D. Jason Horn-Francis. 6'3".
Ooh. You know what? I'm going to go with Josh Dunkley. He's got big guy energy.
6'3". Also, I mean, I looked up, I was trying to find the weight as well. I did work out that Donald Trump says that he's only 10 kilos more than Mitch McGovern. Fun little fact for you. You've gone with A.
Get
Josh
out.
Dunkley.
Yeah,
Clarky,
well-
you're on the board. He's the same height as athlete Josh Dunkley. Let's just leave it there, though.
It's very. I was really disheartened for a second because I watched Donnie and Chris both shake their heads like, "Oh, you."
I thought it
dumb
was
fuck."
Bont. I
also
honestly thought it was
Bont.
Bont.
Isn't Bont like a 6?
He's six. Yeah, he's six. Yeah, I think
He's tall.
6'4".
But like I did look into this a bit more, and everyone's like, no, if you look at Donald, he's not that tall. So I think he may be closer to, you know,
It became a
Caleb
it became a meme legend that literally they were finding NFLers that were 6'3", 220, I think was what they were literally like. They put like one of the best wide receivers in the NFL is 6'3", 220, and they put side by side. There is absolutely no way in heck he is 6'3", 220. There is no way he is 6'3", 220. And I'm more going off of the weight more than the height. The height,
it's about 103 kilos.
yeah,
Which
there is no way. Absolutely.
nah,
No
man,
way.
Nah.
He's got to be closer to 300 pounds. He's got to be, if not more than that. I'm not even going to be nice about it. There's
Don't
no
be.
way.
It's fine. Chris, you are up next. Please pick a number. You want to read out the numbers?
7.
don't you? Good work, Chris. All right. Don Pike was the first United States-born, but not U.S. citizen player in AFL history. And he played the second most games of an American-born player. Which club is he now the CEO of? Don Pike.
West Coast.
West Coast is correct, Christopher. You're on the. I mean, you're already on the board. You're on the board again now.
It's like,
You're on.
Nice work,
I
Chris.
only remember because he's
Points.
the one who fucking marched Oscar Allen out to do that press conference
Oh, yeah,
in
he did,
Hawthorn
didn't he?
colours
Yeah,
for some reason.
That was
and chains. I imagine
that was weird. That was an odd one. All right,
it still
guys,
stands out.
we have one more round to go. Donnie and Clucky both on 1 point. Chris, you're on 2. Chris, you can still choke, and you guys can still force a draw, which will make me scramble for an extra question. We still have 3, 5, and 9. Donnie, which one are you going with?
I'll stay on my thing since they let me. I'll take 3.
3. All right. Name a current AFL player with the same surname as a major US city. I'll give you a clue here. We actually mentioned him in this podcast. We've mentioned him so far. The one I'm thinking of, at least.
My favorite AFL player, Zach Miami.
Johnny Utah.
Johnny Vegas.
Oh my gosh, totally blank. I knew that. I've done this before. It's like I'm usually pretty well known with names, and I'm sitting here going, "Oh my god, seriously, totally blanking."
All I keep thinking is there a player with the surname Win?
It'd have to be French. So
It's,
For so long, I was trying to find players with the initials US, like Ulysses Smith.
they're a different
have a
version
player?
of
yeah,
different version of the Deconics. Sam Des Moines.
that's funny. Oh my god, seriously, why am I totally blanking?
Was it a US city or a US state?
US city.
That makes it even harder.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I would
running.
say that
That's what
gives
I'm
you more
running into.
options,
I'm
Chris.
running through every single big city that I can think of, and there's nothing.
Is it a current player?
The only is it
Is it a
first
current
name or
city?
last name? First name or surname?
Surname. I'm going to give you
Because I know first name because Denver Granger Barras, but I don't know if he's on the AFL list.
No,
I think
I'm going to allow that.
I think he was delisted.
I'm going to allow that as a point.
He was delisted. I don't think he's on an AFL list right now. That's the problem.
Well,
I'm
you just
sitting here
that
like
a point. I literally gave you it's gone now.
I'm trying to help buy Donnie's
Washington's a state, unless you call it Washington D.C.
Ginnivan would be the city in Washington. It's right down the road from Forks.
I'm going to give you a clue.
Sure.
Because unlike these other two, you're nice to me. It's in Texas. It's a city in Texas.
You bastard.
You got it, Clarky?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Dan Houston.
Dan Houston it is.
My brain was like, I knew I was, and then the funniest part is I'm literally sitting here looking at AFL.com and I have the Collingwood up and I'm like, as soon as you said that, I was like, ding, thanks.
So you are now on 2 points with Christopher. Clarky, can you make this really annoying for me and make it a 3-way draw or something?
Well, I'm going to ask for something unusual. Can I donate my question to Donnie for a chance to win?
No.
Fine. I'll pick number 5.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, he can have a crack at my question for the point.
No, not at all. 5 or 9.
We're
pick
just
a number.
making up rules.
I picked 5 now. Give me 5.
All right. Speaking of the red, white, and blue, which film topped the US film charts at the same time the Doggies won their last flag?
That was 2016.
Last flag ever.
Just
2016 or whatever. Yeah, thanks, Chris. I knew it wasn't 2021.
I think it was October 3rd, 2016.
It's actually October 1st.
Oh, I was close.
But, late.
God,
this is why I gave you
out?
clues, Donnie, because these two give me too much shit.
God, what movies came out in 2016?
Okay,
Jeez.
sorry, I will be fair. It is multiple choice. I'm not going to leave you hanging like that.
Okay, thank you.
A, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. B, The Secret Life of Pets. C, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Or D, The Angry Birds movie. Donnie fans, I bet you're not used to this.
Well, look, I'm gonna go with my gut. I'm gonna go with A.
Yeah, it's got to be Secret
You're
Life
going
of
with
Pets.
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Chris, you're going with Secret Life of Pets. You're both wrong. No, it was obviously Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children.
I thought you were going to say the Angry Birds movie then, and I was just going to shut my computer down and walk out.
That would make more sense to me, but that is what it is. So, Clarky, you've got that one incorrect, so you are out. You've ended the game on 1 point. Chris, you can win this all, but it's a math question. It's a finance question, actually. Question number 9. GWS star Finn Callahan turned down huge St Kilda money to remain a Giant.
Mm-hmm.
Reports say the offer was for $1.7 million a year over 10 years, which would have made it the biggest contract in AFL history. How much would that total of $17 million Australian be in US dollars as of 5 p.m. today, July 14, 2025? It's multiple choice. Don't worry.
Yep.
Sure, that will help. A, $14,136,090. B, $11,154,040. C, $13,210,110. Or D, $9,954,060.
You go with C.
You go with C. 13,210,100. Reading numbers, tricky. No, incorrect.
No.
It was a B, $11 million. Our economy is in shambles.
That's why Finn stayed with the Giants.
That's why you stay with the Giants. So, Chris and Donnie, you've entered on a draw. You've caused me grief here. So bear with me one moment while I find a question. Okay, so I have found a question. It's going to be predicated, though, with a quicker question. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. This will decide who goes first in this question. Okay, so Chris, you want to have a stab at it?
7.
No. Donnie?
2.
Nope. Chris?
4.
That is correct. So you get to go first with this one. That means, Donnie, you won't be able to lock in the same answer because it is a multiple choice one. Okay. I have 4 names here. 3 of them are the names of both AFL and NFL players. They share the same name. One of them is the imposter. You need to find the imposter.
Current NFL and current AFL players?
No.
Okay.
We have Josh Kennedy, Mark Williams, Dan McStay, Nathan Brown.
Surely there's not another Dan McStay.
Or is that too obvious? Who's to say? I am
Who's to say? Maybe you.
Maybe.
Eventually.
Maybe Google. Maybe Google told me this.
So I'm fairly certain it's not B. I'm going to say A.
You're going with Josh Kennedy. You think Josh Kennedy is the imposter?
Yep.
All right. And Donnie. So you can pick between Mark Williams, Dan McStay, or Nathan Brown.
I was following his thing, so I'll go with it just for intrigue. I'll say Dane McStay is the imposter.
Between the names Josh Kennedy, Mark Williams, Dan McStay, and Nathan Brown, the player with the name that is not shared between AFL player and an NFL player is obviously Dan McStay.
For fuck's sake.
Donnie, you have won. Chris, you have fumbled on at the finish. Absolute clownish behavior. You've embarrassed yourself in front of our guests.
as he's talking, he's like, I haven't heard of another Dan McStay. I'm like, even I wanted to go, dude, just go with it.
Yeah, just
I'm sitting here going, every other name except that one, I'm almost positive with American surnames. I'm almost positive there's probably been an NFLer of any of those three, but I do not recall McStay being something I've ever seen in the US. So it was like, so as he was saying that, I was like, he's gonna pick that. I'm pretty damn sure. And when he picked a different, I was like, okay, all right. So I'll go with it. But I think McStay is not a well-known surname. Like Williams, I've heard. All the three others, they're all surnames I've heard before. So I was pretty sure that they've been a player that have been both. So yeah,
I did panic when I
shocked.
said, why would it be Dan McStay? Maybe there isn't. I'm like, oh, Chris will read through that, and clearly I've just given it away. And no, Chris, your foolishness confounds me as well. Thank you all for playing. I hope you had some fun there. Donnie, of course, has won the game. But I think with that, it's time for us to wrap up. But look, before we do, Donnie, I'm going to give you the soapbox. I'm going to give you the floor. Brooke your wares. Tell people where they can find you.
Well, to all those that are listening that have not found it, I have the Donnie's Disposals YouTube channel and podcast. Again, when my producer remembers, sometimes I have to mess with him a little bit because he forgets to put it on the podcast platforms. Is that you will always see my video podcast on YouTube. Usually once a week we'll do the AFL shows. When the AFLW comes, that's going to cause some fun this year with the overlap. So I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. I may do mega episodes where we cover both the men's and the women's at the same time, just to save me a record. We'll have to see. Like I said, I do the state leagues about once a month. I know I just recently put out both a waffle and a sandful review, which was a ton of fun. So that's the easiest way to get a hold of me on my socials. It's at Coach Hess 40 on all socials, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, and X. I always love chatting with Australians. Like I said, it's so much fun to meet all these people that absolutely love the sport. I interact most of the time. I'm constantly tweeting about the Swans, or especially my quarter by quarter breakdowns. Not that they're too in depth, with X only having so many characters. So, but it has been a blast, gentlemen. I truly appreciate it. I love the podcast. Like I said, it's a usual listen every week. Please, the next time, Cass, if you're listening, absolutely sad that I didn't get to meet you. You're one of my favorite characters on here besides these three gentlemen. I enjoy all three of you, all four of you. I think you have a wonderful podcast here, and it's been a pleasure to hop on.
Thank you very much. You are more than welcome at any time. And Cassie, you better be listening, because if you're not, we've halved our listenership if she's not listening, to be honest. But yes, if you aren't aware, if you haven't checked out Donnie's show, make sure you go check it out. As we've mentioned kind of at the start of the episode, how hard it is for somebody international to get this much information. It really needs to be kind of tracked down and hunted, which I think goes to show how passionate about the sport, not just AFL, it's AFLW, it's the local leagues, because how much passion and love is in the game. Very much worth listening to. It's super informative. Him and his guests actually know what they're talking about, so it's a bit different from our show. But yes, please make sure you go check it out. And this episode, if you're listening to this on your as a podcast, there will be a video version of this. So if you want to see us, we're all very attractive. So make sure you go check it out on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribing, clicking the bell, all those things that cool YouTubers say. I don't say those things anymore. I can't do it. But if you want to follow the Falcon, you can find us on Spotify and iTunes and all podcasting platforms. We have new episodes that go up every Tuesday. So make sure you follow, subscribe, give us a review, give us a rating. Make sure you're following Donnie while you're there, giving him a review, giving him a rating, 5 stars across the board. You can find us, our socials, at Falcon Footy Pod. You can also find us individually. I'm at Jesse Spanner. Chris?
At Lowry_16.
And due to technical issues, Chris, can you tell us where we can find Clarky?
We can find Clarky.
He doesn't
you're
know.
Been put on the spot here.
I was going to make a joke there, but I know that Clarky will get mad about it.
Yeah, because you can still hear me.
Yeah.
Am I on the recording? Maybe.
You can find Clarky asking for 3 more years for Jake Melksham over at Quantum JC and on his sister podcast, the Footy Mailbag, where he discusses Supercoach.
Make sure you listen to that this week because let's face it, we've all run out of fucking trades.
We had Tom from the Footy with Broden Kelly.
Panic and go check them out. Clarky's still trying to talk to me. I can't hear him. Who knows what's going to happen next? And Donnie, I know you've already mentioned your socials, but you want to mention them one more time. Where can people find you?
Yep, sure. At Coach Hess 40 on all platforms. Again, I tried to keep it as neutral, as even as I can. Yep. So at Coach Hess 40.
Fantastic. Thank you all for listening. Make sure that if you're not following Donnie, go do that. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week. Look after yourself. Bye.
See ya.
I'll say
Love
bye
you.
for Clarky. I'm Clarky. I like Melbourne. Oh, Max.
Oh my gosh.
You're my king.